So we are miles into this, and I just want to point out, this dog is sprinting. This dog is sprinting. We are miles into this, and he is sprinting. This is probably about 85% of the speed of this golf cart, and he is sustaining it. And I just want to point that out. There's not drool flopping from his mouth. There's none of that. Back there, that's the pit bull. I just want to point that out. When we're talking about workability, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. That's what we're going to talk about. And I've had this conversation, and I've left a lot of people confused, thinking that I'm telling them wrong and stuff like that, or don't know what I'm talking about. And the real issue is simply in word usage. A lot of people tend to make the mistake that just because they use a word to describe something, that means the same thing to everybody, and that's not true. And I speak 6 languages, and I can tell you that I've never had the same sort of struggle talking to somebody in a different language than I have in my own language, in English. And it's not even just I mean, it's a lot to do with our English speakers' presumptions. We tend to presume a lot, and what I mean by that is it's not if I talk to somebody in Spanish, I can tell them, hey, look, Spanish is not my first language, and it's been a while since I spoke. I still need to practice and get refreshed. Please speak slowly. And if I say something that's way off, even if I don't say that, I find in every language I speak, somebody is willing to pull me aside and say, hey, is that what you mean? And they'll ask that. Whereas in English, people don't do that. In English, especially here in America, people don't do that. In English, we just react. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he said that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. Oh my gosh, and that's sad, because it's a lost art. And it's no different when it comes to dogs. And I'm telling you, if you've been around dogs, if you've been working with dogs for any amount of time, you know that lingo changes. Lingo changes. What used to be called aggressive is now called reactive. What used to be called fighting is now called reaction. I mean, it changes every week. It might as well be slang at this point. And when it comes to it, we're leaving Amina behind. When it comes to it, we're going to slow down a little bit and let her catch up. Come on, Mina! She's way back there. Come on, Mina! But she's still moving straight forward, so I'm good with it. When it comes to it, just know your lingo. I'm going to let this poor boy pick a side. When it comes to it, know that the person that you're speaking to may not have the same meaning for the words that you're using. They might not have any definition for that meaning. Just because you say reactive doesn't mean that anybody knows what you mean by that, and you need to take the time to explain that. And what I'm talking about right now is drive. There is so little communication in between breeds, and it is a shame. It's a shame. We call ourselves dog people, but if you really want to learn something about dogs, you need to step back from your breed for a little bit and educate yourself about, pick 2, 3, 4 other breeds that you can become an expert about, and then come back and apply what you learned to your breed. And I mean that. 2 of those breeds need to be breeds that are similar to your breed in use or style, and then 2 of those breeds need to be breeds that have nothing to do with your breed at all. Learn about dogs. Then come back and tell me what you know about your breed. I guarantee you will learn so much, and stuff that's going to help you with your breed, information that's good dog information that can help you. And I just want to put that out there. She's catching up. Come on, Mina. So when I'm talking about Tosas and talking to people about Tosas, a lot of times I have to spend so much time trying to explain what I'm trying to say, and so much time trying to explain what I'm not trying to say, that if we could cut that out, a 5-hour conversation would be cut down to 20-30 minutes. And it's sad. And so many people, I've had people, I mean, so angry, pissed off at me, and it's because of stuff that neither of us is saying, quite frankly, but they're too busy reacting to take the time to actually listen to what's being said and respond to that. They're so busy responding about how what was said made them feel, instead of what was actually meant. Come on, Yoshi. Come on, bub. We need to beat the sunlight. This is our last stretch of our our way back. We're not going to make it all the way to the next town, so we gotta turn around. Anyway, so when it comes to one such topic, it's going to be the topic of work. That's what I'm going to classify it as, workability. When I'm talking about breeding dogs, when I'm talking about what I aim for, what I measure my dogs by, it's workability. It's this stuff right here. It's how many miles can we get out of you before you start showing me that you're tired. And this boy right now is pushing about 5.5, 6 miles, and you see he's ready to go. And that's how I know my dogs are bred well. That's how I know my dogs are physically capable of work. Oftentimes people are so focused in on one breed that when they think of the word work, all they think of is what it means for that breed. If I say work ability for the Tosa and traditional work capacity for the Tosa, what's the first thing you think about? Fighting. If I say it when I'm talking about a German Shepherd dog, you're thinking of either protection work or you're thinking of herding. And again, that's not what I mean. I mean, if you're talking about a person who's in shape or not, it's not whether or not they can lift 50 pounds in the gym or 500 pounds in the gym. It's whether or not they are physically capable of sustained exercise. Whatever the sport might be, whatever the activity might be, they might be trained for one thing, trained for another. But if they're an athlete, they're an athlete first. And when I'm talking about work ability for a dog, for a Tosa, that's what I mean. I mean the capacity to work. And I'm going to divide that into two things, one physical and one mental. And the physical is essentially the tools in their DNA that make them capable of doing a certain amount of work efficiently and effectively. So when I talk about workability, let's talk about like physical workability. I'm talking about a dog like a Tosa here, for instance. No, there are cows over there. We're not doing that. No, sir. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. Mina, come on, get up here. Come here. He's gonna go over there and pee. He's all right. Amina, come here. Maybe poop. He might be pooping. Looks like he might be pooping. Come here. Come here. Come on, get up here. Come on. Come on over here. Come here. Mina, come here. Mina, come on. Come on. Come on. Right here. There you go. Stay put. Hold tight. Come here. 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 Come on. There you go. Okay, fine. Don't then. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Come on. You drink when you get home. Come on. We're not drinking this water. We don't know what's in it. So when it comes to it, I might have to check her every so often, so y'all forgive me. Anyway, when I'm talking about work, I'm talking about their physical capacity to work. So again, just looking at him physically, right? Big, solid boy, very thickly built, right? But what you don't observe when he's walking, and same thing with her, you don't observe a twist to their body. Their legs are free to move forwards and backwards without having to turn their chest, without having to rotate and roll their body in order to do so. So I'm looking at things like that. Physically, are they capable of sustained work? Yeah, a dog that's squatty and has to waddle when they walk can get some work done, but sustained work over time, no. I am not going to pursue that dog as a working dog, a workability dog, you know. And the next thing I'll say is, this is going to be a huge one, psychologically. No ma'am, come on. Psychologically, drive. And a lot of people, again, when you're talking about drive, people get the wrong idea about it. They tend to only think of it in its application in one thing. Same thing like I was saying about the German Shepherd. If I say a high drive pit bull, for instance, people tend to think I'm thinking the dog is high fight capacity and high fight propensity, and that's not what I mean. I mean simply the will to work, the will to physically exert themselves and expend energy. And I don't mean just physical energy, I mean mental energy. I mean the dog that is dead tired coming out of the water, for instance, a retriever that's dead tired, pulling itself out of the water, legs shaking, can't hardly stand up, but if you throw that ball back into the water, they are going to put their lives on the line to go and get it. That that mental fortitude to keep working, keep walking, keep doing. That's what I mean by high drive. Now, to be clear, that drive, depending on the breed and what you're working with, can be applied to whatever the breed is worked on, right? If you're talking about a pit bull, most famously they're worked in fighting. Same thing with Tosas. If you're talking about a German Shepherd, that's a different ball game. If you're talking about any dog breed, the people that work with that breed, when you start talking about drive and workability, their mind immediately goes to what that dog was bred to do, and they don't see any other way. He's taking a dump, so we're gonna let him do that, and we're gonna get out ahead of him. Come on, Mina. Make him run a little bit. So when I say drive, I mean that mental will to keep working. And again, when I say high drive, I mean that mental will to keep working. That is it at its core. So don't make the mistake of thinking that I'm talking about, for instance, when I'm talking about a Tosa's drive, I'm not talking about their drive to fight, their will to fight. I'm talking about their mental will to keep moving forward. And I just want to drive that home. So when I say I breed high workability dogs, when I say I breed high drive dogs, I mean this. When I say I want to breed Tosas true to their original capacity, true to their original function and nature and style, I don't mean I'm fighting dogs. I don't mean I'm trying to fight dogs or breed dogs that are fighting dogs. I mean I'm breeding athletes. I'm breeding dogs with high work ethic, with high work drive that can do this work right here. And I have no doubt that here we are in the evening, and if a deer or a hog crosses our paths, I'm gonna have to check my dogs, because even though we just ran for over an hour, 10 miles, non-stop. I mean, look at him, non-stop, right? No ma'am, it's Amina, it's the pit bull that I have to tell to stop pausing at the water puddles. But anyway, we're doing this non-stop, and if one of those crossed our path, there is no doubt in my mind that he would not hesitate to chase that creature down, no matter how long it takes, and catch it and hold it and continue to fight and work it. And again, I don't mean fighting. Don't get the idea in my head that I'm just talking about fighting. I'm not talking about that for the sake of fighting. I'm talking about that for the physical work it would take to physically restrain a 500-pound hog, a 250-pound stag, or whatever we come across out here. So when it comes to it, that's what I mean when I say I want to breed and train and work Tosas to their original capacity, intent, and design. I don't mean fighting any more than if I were to say that about a German Shepherd, that I mean herding. I don't at all. The essence of what I'm driving at and getting at is the nature of an athlete. And when I was in high school, I had the pleasure of working under a what I would consider a world-class coach. He was absolutely fantastic, and he was hard and difficult. And it was pretty ridiculous at first, and it seemed ridiculous not just to us but to a lot of different people, because of the fact that he would have his 100-meter runners running with the mile runners. He would have his sprinters running with the distance runners, and he would have his distance runners running with the sprinters. He would have all kinds of stuff like that. And it was ridiculous, because if all you're doing is training for a 100-meter dash, why do you need to run 1,500 meters? Why do you need to run a mile? You don't ever need to run a mile. All you need to do is run a 100-meter dash if you're training for the 100-meter dash. And a lot of people ran their programs like that at this time. He stood out as being the kind of coach who would do that, and he would take our whole picture into perspective. Where other coaches would let their athletes go swimming and stuff like that, he specifically forbade us from swimming. When other coaches would let their athletes go play other games, and not necessarily other team sports, but hey, if you're hanging out at your friend's house and y'all want to shoot some hoops, go ahead, have fun. My coach specifically forbade that. I mean, he forbade all of that. And I think it was because he was a very wise person, and he understood the essence of a athlete is just that, an athlete. And when he would put us running with, he would put the sprinters and the middle distance runners running with the long distance runners and so on and so forth. We'd have workouts for each kind of runner, and everybody would do them. He never trained us as what we did, or should I say is solely what we did. He trained us as athletes. He created athletes, and then he applied that athlete in the given discipline. He applied an athlete as a javelin thrower. He applied an athlete as a sprinter, as a long jumper, triple jumper, high jumper, whatever you want to pick, decathlete, pentathlete, whatever it is. He would apply the athlete in the field. You've got a dog like this that can run 30 miles, can jump over a 6-foot fence, can move, and seriously generate a ton of momentum in a span of 2 or 3 feet. One step, this dog can knock a grown man over. When you've got a dog that is that powerful and you can put them towards whatever you want to put them towards, that's what I like to see. Tosas being used for protection work, for estate guards, for depredation, because I can tell you the things that make the Tosa good in the ring are the things that make the Tosa good at defending flocks or even flock guardians from predators. For me, for my dogs, for what we're working towards here, we breed working dogs, we're working for working dogs, we're looking for working dogs, we're creating working dogs. So everything I do for my dogs physically, everything I breed for physically in my dog needs to be conducive to work. Things you're never going to see for that reason. You're not going to see copious amounts of, loose skin hanging off of my dogs. You're also not going to see a short muzzle. I don't breed for a short muzzle. I'd rather have a dog that looks like a Borzoi than a dog that looks like an English Bulldog or a Pug. Simply because at least the Borzoi can work. And when it comes to the Tosa, thank goodness I don't have to, be so extreme as all that. I can actually choose something that's a bit more functional without actually having to sacrifice anything. But again, when you look at my dogs, you're not going to see them waddle and twist and turn when they walk. You're going to see a dog that's very capable of moving its arms. You're going to see a dog that's very flexible. You're not going to see a very stiff animal. You're going to see an animal that's very supple and has a high range of motion. And not that they always have to use it, but when they want to stretch out, they can. You're going to see a dog that has a adequately long nasal bridge so that they can breathe. You're going to see a dog that has a scissors bite, not for aesthetics, but so that they can have a strong grip on their bite. If it's slightly off one way or another, the degree to which I consider it an issue is the degree to which it affects the dog's bite capacity. Not so much whether or not it's going to win at a show. And it's not to say I don't have or breed show quality dogs. If it were up to me, I'd have all of it. But if I have to choose one or the other, one of the best explanations I saw for dog shows was on a breeder group that I just joined today, actually. And somebody was asking about if I have a dog that is pet quality, and the breeder had my registration set up to where I can't show my dog and I can't compete with my dog in any sort of AKC events or Kennel Club events. I don't want to breed my dog, but I would love to be able to show them. I'd love to be able to work with them in these events. And somebody chimed in a less than courteous way, but still frank and blunt way, saying, if you can't breed them, then why would you do these things? And I think that I agree with that person to a certain extent, but not all the way. I think that you should be able to take your dog to an agility event no matter what kind of dog you have. However, if we're talking about a dog show, I think that you might have heard me get on dog shows cases a lot, because I don't think we should be breeding dogs for a look. I don't think that The dog show is where our dogs should be decided whether or not they breed. All it is so subjective. You have to decide what will appease the judges, or what will line up with a standard that, let's figure out if it was actually meant for working dogs in the first place. And again, there are a lot of breeds that aren't meant to work these days, and that's fine. If that's your thing and that's what you want to breed for, again, that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about working breeds, working dogs. When we're talking about dogs that are bred to work, I think the first criteria should be, can they work? Can it do the job? And again, I'm not necessarily talking about a specific job for a specific breed. I'm talking about, have you created an athlete, a canine athlete, regardless as to what you apply them in, So yeah, I'm sorry to get all philosophical on you guys. Probably $1 million answer to a 5-cent question, as always. But when it comes to it, I just kind of want to really drive that point home. I don't think it's understood well enough in far too many circles that should understand it a lot better than they do. And when it comes to what we're breeding here, what we're breeding for here, I'm talking about drive. I'm talking about workability. To the person who breeds dogs and trains dogs for protection work, when they hear the word drive, they think protection work. They don't understand I'm talking about an athlete any more than the person who only ever runs a 100-meter dash. When they hear exercise, they think 100-meter dash exercises, as opposed to somebody who's been created as an athlete and is like, okay, what are we doing today? We're doing exercise. What are we doing today? Because that's the attitude we have with our coach. And God bless the man for sticking with it, because for our sakes, the last time I competitively ran track was my second year of college. I was 19 at the time, not yet 20. And I'm going to turn 35 years old this month, and I can still whoop up on some high schoolers. I've done it. So don't even think about it. Don't try me. Don't you try me. Don't think about it. All right? Hit you with the people's eyebrow. Anyway, all that said, I think it's the same thing with our dogs. If all we do, and this is even to drive that point home further, if all we do is train a dog for a specific task without creating an athlete first, we run the risk of getting seriously injured for that animal. And further, and this is the other side of that coin, we also limit the capacity with which they have to do the work that they're given. I think one of the biggest things that, this is probably a little bit of a side topic, but I think one of the biggest things that make wolves so capable as related to the average dog is the things that they do that have nothing to do with the things that we respect them for. And I'm going to say that again. I think the thing that makes wolves so impressive physically in their capacity are the things that they do that have nothing to do with what we respect them for. And in the same way, my dogs are going to be capable of doing whatever you put in front of them. They're going to be hunters. They're going to be catchers. They're going to be guardians. They're going to be protectors. They're going to be agility dogs. They're going to be therapy dogs. They're going to be whatever you put in front of them, and they will do it better than anything you put next to them. But that's because I created an athlete first and applied that athlete in the given discipline. My goal and my motto is I create athletes. I create high work capacity dogs, high level working dogs. And they can be applied in any number of ways. They can be applied in protection work just as quickly as they can be applied as a high work ethic therapy dog or service dog. Again, it requires the same high drive. Now, you want a certain level of easy mindset with that sort of work versus a harder mindset that you'd want with a protective work, right? But still, high drive and high work ethic is absolutely essential for any dog that is doing any work. And when I'm talking about, again, I just want to be clear, when I'm talking about work ethic and what I'm breeding for and what we're going for, that's what I mean. I mean the capacity for sustained work. I mean the capacity to be a canine athlete. I mean the capacity to work hard for long and extended periods of time, overcoming adversity, overcoming challenges, overcoming the hardships of that work, and continuing to put out consistently good, solid work. That's what I mean. And that's what I see when I look at the Tosa breed in Japan, their history. I don't necessarily see just a dog that is a fighting dog, any more than when I look at an Olympic sprinter, I see somebody who's just a 100-meter dash runner. No. Look at how many of them have medals or high level experience in the past with other roles. Look at how many quarterbacks in the NFL were wide receivers, and how many wide receivers were quarterbacks even in college, and got Heisman trophies in positions and trophies and awards in positions that they don't play professionally. They were athletes first, and that's what I saw that drew me to the Tosa. It wasn't that they were a fighting mastiff. There were a lot of mastiffs that has a history in war, in hunting, in battles, in things that will require them to be athletic. But the thing that drew me to the Tosa was that they are the last, as far as I'm concerned, athletic mastiff. Thank you guys so very much for checking out our channel, for watching our videos. I hope I wasn't too boring. Thank you for following us or watching us. If you do not already follow us, please follow. If you have not liked this video, please like, and please subscribe, and you'll be able to keep up with the next videos we put out about Tosas. We love what we do here. There'll definitely be more videos, and you can learn a bit more about the breed, learn a bit more about us, and hopefully it'll be stuff that you'll find useful. One other thing I would say is that if you can, please share our information. I know a lot of people will say share, but for us it's actually more important. You may not know this, but the Tosa is what we might consider an endangered species here in the US and even in the West. I would say the place that the place that the Tosa is right now is not unlike the place where the pit bull was in the mid 50s throughout the 70s, in that they no longer are used for their original purpose here in the US. Thank God they are not used for their original purpose. So that kind of leaves a vacuum. The breed's notoriety is going down in that vacuum, but what that opens the door for is for bad actors to get a hold of what remaining specimens there are and use them for, we'll say, nefarious purposes. And when it comes to it, this is a wonderful breed. We just barely got the pit bull to where it's like 50-50 publicity, right? I'd hate for the Tosa to be the next dog everybody hates. So please share as much as you can. Get the information out there about the breed. It took so long for the pit bull to make a comeback, not because of breeding and responsible breeding practice. No, there's always been people that have been breeding pit bulls responsibly. What it took was having people in their corner. Advocates, people who could stand up and say, that's not the way pit bulls act in reality. That's a dog that's been abused. That's a dog that's been mistreated. That's a dog that's been mistrained. And that can happen to any breed, And the more that those people get out there, the more you see the pit bull coming out in a better light. Unfortunately, it's still got a long way to go, but that was the change. And the same thing is true for the Tosa. We need people who are going to get out there and say, hey, look, that behavior right there, that's not a Tosa. This, that, the other thing, that's not Tosa behavior. This is an example of an unfortunate set of circumstances that befell an individual dog. It is not what is to be expected of the breed as a whole. So when it comes to it, I think it's super important that you share, even more than liking and subscribing, which would be awesome.
but share so that the information gets out there and more people learn the truth about the Tosa. All of it, not just the fighting past, but where they are today and where they're headed. Hopefully, more people will see this, more people will share, and the information will be out there. Again, you don't necessarily have to want to get a Tosa yourself, but learn about the breed. We need more advocates. Hopefully, some people watching this will find that true and become an advocate for this wonderful, amazing breed. Thank you guys so much for your time. We'll let you go and enjoy your life and let Mr. Dante get on to his kennel for the day.